Okay, so let's continue. So what this actually means is you've done your low fidelity wireframe, you've connected it, even though it's not going to be, if you use a piece of paper, it's not going to be in a way that someone can interact with the screens, but it will just be in a way that imagine it, you just be in a way now. Let's say this is actually a piece of paper. It just be when you tell the person when I came from here, it will take the person to here, take the person to here, and this to here. So that's how you're going to just explain it between you and your team. Then, but if you do the mid fidelity and the high fidelity, this is where you want your user to actually feel like they are using the real product, and then they will have to interact with this product. So that is what it actually look like. Now, the next thing, you can create a simple paper prototype by hand. More this, like you just create it by hand. That is why I said, that is why I always tell beginners, your low fidelity should just be on a piece of paper. Yes, a lot of us might want to use your digital to create it and all, but for saving time and resources, saving your time and your energy, I will always advise beginners to just do your low fidelity on a piece of paper. It is more easier and simple. Then you can now switch to your digital tool using your Figma to create for mid fidelity, which is where you now have to come in with alignment and spacing, plain spacings and all. You might use a prototype tool to create a digital prototype. It's more detailed and easy sharing. Now, when we are talking, remember on first class, the tool where we are talking about the tools that I need to use as a designer. And when it's time for prototyping, if you guys can recall, when it's time for prototyping, what are the tools that I said we can use? Protopy, we can use Inversion, we can use Figma, we can use XD, we can use Adobe, we can use Adobe XD, sorry, we can use Sketch. And I said all these tools are actually good for prototypes. So like there's a tool I've tried out and it's very, very cool. But though I'm so familiar with Figma, I've tried Protopy. Protopy is the nice tool. I think I noticed that Figma and Protopy as linked together. You can just move your design to Protopy. Though I have tried in the mobile, but I've not tried in the web. It's actually a nice tool. But imagine this stress of moving your design from this place to this place. But someone who is already on Figma has actually done the prototype and is ready to share. But you are still moving, still aligning, still doing this and still doing that to get. So that's why I said everybody should just go ahead and use Figma because it is easy to use. So all these tools, you can just do your prototype designs on it, which is actually nice. Now, most commonly, UX designer build a rapid prototype, either digital or on a paper, and on that before they invest time and effort to build a more detailed prototype. Prototype. Now, what are the reasons for prototyping? Now, just like when we said, there's a reason for flowcharts, which is like creating an idea for your users, creating solutions for your users. Now, we talked about what are the benefits of wireframe and we looked at it. So today we are going to look at the reason for prototyping. What are the reasons for prototyping? It gives all your customer or user a clear picture of the potential benefits, risks, and costs associated with where a prototype might lead. Now, one of the reasons is it will give you clear benefits, clear understanding, clear picture, potential benefits, the risks, the cost. Okay, what is the cost of a user moving from this screen to this screen? What is the cost of a user and navigating through the entire product? So what is the clear picture? Okay, what is the benefit? Is this actually going to be a good solution? Is it providing a nice experience for them? So that is one of the reasons for prototyping. Now the next one is to adapt to change early if there are any major or minor changes in prototype. Now let's say for example, you've created a nice wireframing and now you want to link these screens together. And now you find out that, okay, this element is not supposed to be on this screen. It's supposed to be at this place. That is when you now have to make that changes immediately. Okay, this button is not supposed to be short button. It's supposed to be a very long button. You make that changes immediately. This image holder or image where you're going to place your image, this place for image is too small. You're going to increase it. So all those minor or major changes, that's when you're going to adapt those things, where you're going to, okay, make those changes so that when your user is now, when you're now moving to the high fidelity or to the final stage, you will not have issues. Now, you are going to, another reason is taking feedback from your user and making necessary changes. Now, the first one is you're going to notice this feedback by yourself. You provide a solution, you want your user to test it, no problem, which is actually very, very good. Now, you've noticed the small errors in it and you've made the changes. But the next one is like you're taking feedback from your user. You are building a product that your user is going to use, not you that is going to use it, your users. Everybody in class today is actually my user. If I want to build a product, everybody, forgetting the part that we are just UI UX, forget that part. But you guys are my users, okay? So I've done this wireframe, I've done this prototype. I will then push the link, make it accessible for you guys, where you're going to interact with this product. Either you use the Figma app on your phone or you use the Figma on your desktop, where you don't have to navigate through the product and then make changes for where you say, okay, I don't think this button is okay. This button at the top, why not bring it to the bottom? So you're going to gather feedback from the users where you have to make those necessary changes. Now, the next one is to save cost of manufacturing the actual product in the early stage of experimenting. Now, what this actually means is, let's say we ignore the fact that Michael and Maureen actually they didn't do prototyping, they just do flowchart and then jump to high fidelity wireframe, and they've done the high fidelity wireframe. They've presented to the team. I like it. I like it. Everybody say, I like it. I love it. It's beautiful. Is this, is that. And then they now do the final product and then they push it to the developers. The developer actually code this work and everybody has launched this product and you're now pitching about this product that people should go and test it, blah, 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 and all. And now they've tested this product and the product is having a lot of issues because you actually skip prototyping. And users are telling you, this thing is not all right here. This one is complaining, this one is complaining, this one is telling you feedback, this one is getting. Now you have to go back. You have to go back to your wireframe. You have to do the necessary prototyping for those screens. And then you have to give to your users. And then when they're done accepting the feedback, doing those changes, imagine you have to pay the developer another money to actually implement what the designer has done. So instead of spending much manufacturing this, like spending much of or paying your developers double fee or even paying the designers double fee, the prototype will help you make those necessary changes at the early stage. You have to clear everything, be satisfied that your users are actually enjoying this prototyping project, just in a form of it's just there, it's not implemented. They actually navigate through it and everything is clear enough. And then you can now actually move this final design to the developers for them to code for you, which you have actually saved a lot of money. Now, the cost of prevention is less than the cost of correction and cost of failure. Now, this is it. The first one and the second one, which you have the cost of manufacturing and the cost of this. Imagine it's the same thing where a lot of designers have complain like this. Okay, let's say Protopie. I don't know if they're actually making payments now. The last time I used it, I think you have to make payment, but I don't know now. Now imagine Protopie. You made let's say they are making payments for US VS Code 2. They are making payments, and after this also period of time, your payment is going to expire, and you've paid the developer to actually use that period of time to code your work. And the next time when you are done with the changes and all, you have to pay them extra fee. So all those things is something that you can just prevent and then do the prototype on each of the wireframe so that you get the best result and you want your users to actually be satisfied when using your product. So these are the reasons for prototyping. It is very, very important that you follow this step so you can create a very clean and good product. Now, let's talk about the different types of prototyping. Just like how we have different types of wireframe, which is 3 types, that is the same thing when it comes to prototyping. It's just the same thing. We have the low fidelity, we have the mid fidelity, and we have the high fidelity. Now, in the wireframe is low fidelity wireframe, mid fidelity wireframe, high fidelity wireframe. But in prototyping, what we have is low fidelity prototyping. So instead of using the word wireframe, we just use prototyping. Now, you've done your low fidelity wireframe on a piece of paper. The next thing you're going to do is just to link it up, like connect it, which is actually good. It's also now low fidelity prototype is actually called or is called paper prototyping. These are the simple non-working model of your designs. It's not working. It's just on a piece of paper. Here, quick to produce due to the simple model. Inexpensive due is not much time, effort, and resources being used. Just a piece of paper, just your pencil and your eraser. If possible, you want to use ruler, fine and good. You just want it to be straight, fine and good. You just do sketch your things and then you are good to go. Link it up together. Unrealistic because it is not working model. It is not working. So this is how it actually look like. Then you say, okay, from this button is taking us to this, from this is taking us to this, from this is taking us to this, from this is taking us now, from this is taking us to this, from this is taking us to this, and this to this, this to this, and this to this. So you can tell how each element or each screens are linking up to each other. Now the element on this links to this, and the element on this links to this screen, this from this to this screen. So this is what a low fidelity prototype look like. Now, if you look it from the wireframe, this is actually a low fidelity wireframe. We are looking at it. So by the time you add connection, it is low fidelity prototyping. Okay. Now the next one we have is the mid fidelity. Just the same way we have the mid fidelity wireframe. So when you link the connection, it is now called mid fidelity prototype. It is the next level to the low fidelity prototype with some functions often called a wireframe. It is also a quick process because of less work and effort. Now, imagine you didn't do your low fidelity at all, and you jump from your wireframing, you jump from your flow chart and then move to mid fidelity. You are actually going to take time to complete this low fidelity wireframe and the prototype. It's actually going to take time. It's actually going to take time to complete that because someone who has already done the low fidelity is actually not going to take time. The person will be very, very fast to just don't do the mid fidelity. But you that skip the low fidelity stage, it's going to take more time for you to come up with a better screen for the mid fidelity wireframe and prototyping. This is more reason in due time to some functions. Now your low fidelity, which I just showed you, is actually not function, it's just there. But your mid fidelity, it is actually going to be function because this is something that you have to link a screen from one screen to another, and this is done on a digital tool. This is not done on a piece of paper. This is actually done on a digital tool. Now the next is there is no fine detail provided in this prototype. There's no image, there is no color, it's just there. What you're going to see is some text, lines, and shape. There's no color. What the only color you're going to see there is just black, white, and gray, which is just there. It just is fine, but it's not fine detail as that of the high fidelity wireframing. Okay. Now this is how. So this is how it look like. Now you can tell this is how it look like. Now this is it. So let me zoom in a bit so you can see. Now this is how it is. So what you're going to just see here is just some text, line, and shape. There is no color. The only color here is just this gray and black for text and gray for button or image fee or something like that. So this is how it look like. There is no image. It's just there. Though it's aligned properly, aligned very well, but it is just there. Okay. So this is what a mid fee or mid fidelity prototype look like. Now the next one we have is the high fidelity prototype. Now high fidelity prototype, after many rounds of low and medium prototyping, then it's time to produce the high fidelity. Now remember I said the low fidelity prototype is actually just something you're going to present in your team so everybody can just take a look at it, where you have to walk them through the same way you have to walk them through on your flowchart. That's how you're going to walk them through on your low fidelity. But on your mid fidelity, after coming up with a nice wireframe, you've done the prototype. This is where you have to share it with your users and your team. If you're working with a team, you have to share this prototype with them for them to interact with the product, and they are going to give you feedback, whereby you have to provide a Google form, write some questions, and give them write some questions where they have to provide answer. But this time around, it's not going to be auction. You allow them to give you feedback by typing it for you. So once you're done with this feedback, you implement it on your mid fidelity. Then you're going to move this design to your high fidelity, where you're going to also implement those designs, those feedback that your user has provided for you. The movie time, where you have to produce a nice high fidelity wireframe. Then you do the prototype for it. Now in this part, you're going to add color choice. You're going to add color. You're going to add text. It's just like I said, it's just going to be 95% of your final design. Where your final design, you're going to use the image of your choice and all. But in this time around, you're just going to use the color. Maybe you cannot add image, you can just leave it. You can just align everything, the spacing. You want to do auto layout, you want to group your elements and all. You just do it. So that's what a that's what a high fidelity wireframe look like. And then you link up the prototype. It has all the functions of a product with a realistic experience. This is the working model, so it can be tested to the final product, working to get a proper feedback and necessary changes. Now, this is what a high fidelity design and prototype look like. So this is what a high fidelity prototype actually look like. You can tell from this sign in, it's taking us to this screen. And then from this clear is taking us back to the screen. And from this sign in is taking us to this screen, and from profile is taking us to the next screen. So you can tell how a high fidelity actually look like. So this is how it look like. So in this part, this part now, you can tell that the desired color has been implemented. The desired font choice is there. The spacing, everything is aligned, everything is clean. But the only thing that is not here is just the image and the icons, of which it is 95%. By the time you add your icon, your desired image, then you can see this is actually the final stage of your design. So this is what a high fidelity prototype actually look like. Now, let's look at the difference between a prototype and a final design. Now, the key difference between a prototype and a final design lies in their purpose, fidelity, and stage of development within the design process. A prototype is an early version or representation of a product or system that is called to test and validate design concepts, gather feedback, and iterate ideas before proceeding to the final production. Now, prototype is like the early stage where you have to do. Now, in this aspect, I'm going to link wireframe and prototype together because you're actually doing just like 2-in-1, where you have letter Y and it has one branch and the second branch. It's just like a design that has a wireframe where you do the low fidelity prototype and the high mid fidelity and then the high fidelity. Now, if you look at this prototyping, that the 3 stages or 3 types of prototyping that I showed you, you will see that on the high fidelity, 2 things are actually missing. The image, the desired image, and the icon are not there. So you can call that 90 or 95% of your final design. So that is what it look like. So that is what a prototype look like. A prototype is your 1995 design, where you have to link the connection. You have to, everything you are doing at the initial stage of that, creating those digital designs. So that is what a prototype look like. Now, prototype can vary in fidelity, ranging from low fidelity sketches or wireframe to high fidelity interactive or mock-ups. Now, I know a lot of us have seen some mock-ups that people have put out there that is fine, and you want to do your own and all. So all those things are high fidelity designs that people have actually put out there that is fine. So Prototype can be ranging from fidelity, just from your low fidelity, your mid fidelity, and also your high fidelity. They are used to exploit different design concepts, evaluate usability, and identify potential issues or improvement in the user's experience. Prototypes are topically created and are not intended for public use or commercial use. You cannot do your mid fidelity and then launch the product like that. Who wants to use a skeleton design? Nobody. Who wants to use an incomplete design and you want to launch it like that, and you want your developer to code it like that for you, and you want to launch it, and you want people to start downloading the app to start using? Nobody will want to waste their data or waste their time for an incomplete project. So prototype is something that you just do on your Figma, make sure the thing is working, make sure you're getting the best feedback from your users before you can now move to the final stage where you have to impute everything that is actually missing. Now, on the other hand, a final product is a fully developed and refined version of a design that is ready for release to users or customers. Now, you've done your high fidelity designs. Yes, some of us will say, if I add image icon, is it also a final stage of design? Is a final stage of design that is not implemented. So you can call that a high fidelity. So a final product is a product that you know that has been fully developed. The developer have actually coded your work and people are now using it. For example, let's say I design Telegram and Samuel Michael is the developer. Now I've designed this Telegram on my Figma. I've added the right image, the choice of color, the spacing. I've implemented UI and UX and design principle to it, and it's ready to go. But Samuel has not touched it, has not coded it. So you can call that a high fidelity design. Okay, and you've done the prototype. Users are now interacting with this product on your Figma, either using the Figma browser, Figma desktop app, or even the Figma mobile application. Okay. Now, if somewhere I've actually coded this work for me, you can now call this product a final product, a product that is ready to go, or a product that has been released. Okay. Now, this represents the high point of the design process, incorporating feedbacks from prototyping, addressing any issues or concern, and meeting the specific requirements and objective. Final products are polished, functional, and often include additional feature or enhancement that were not present in the prototyping. They undergo rigorous testing and quality assurance process to ensure they meet the performance standard and deliver a seamless user experience. Once released, the final projects are intended for widespread use and adoption by the target audience. Now, what this actually means is, now let me call one of the products that I've actually built that is up and running, that is on the browser and on the what are they called? Our two app, Google Store and the Apple Store. Now, I did a product 2 years ago, Use Popular. So Use Popular is actually a nice product, more of the fintech. And when this product was on my Figma, I did the prototype. I allow people to test it. So it is called your high fidelity design. You did the prototype on Figma. But when developer actually code this work, they implemented it and people are using it and they launch it. That is when I call this product a final product where, okay, these people, I did the testing, is all the functions are working. You can add your bank details, you can link your local bank card, you can add this and it's going to work. But on your Figma, you can't add. So you can't add your normal, your bank card, you can't add it, but you're just going to assume some maybe numbers where you're going to tell the users, okay, if I put my number here, it's going to work, where you have to just type on a random bank details and then, or it's going to show you how it's going to be on the next screen. So that is what it means, you get. Now in summary, prototypes are tools used to test and refine design concepts, while final products are the complete and polished versions of those designs that are ready for public use and needs. Prototyping are iterative and evolves throughout the design process, whereas final product resembles the complement of the process, and we are intended for widespread adoption. So you can tell the difference between prototypes and final products. So your final product is the product that we're using. Google we are using. Google is actually a final product. Your food app that you are designing is just a wireframe that is on your Figma. So by the time you link one screen to the another, then that's when you can say this is my prototype screens or prototype designs. But let's say once the developer actually code this your work, then you can now call it a final product because real users, your target audience, are using your product. Do you understand?